Welcome back to another episode of Dreading, or if this is your first time here, welcome. Today we're going to be continuing our coverage on the case of Shanann, Bella, Celeste, and Nico Watts, and how the man entrusted with their protection led to their demise. This video is part 2 in our series, meaning that should this be your first time engaging with our content, you might miss key details we already discussed in our first video. I'll be leaving the video itself in the description box down below, that way you can go back and watch part 1. As this series continues, I will also be adding a playlist to the description. That way you can watch all the videos in order as they come out. On our last series, we received comments that we could have and should have condensed our coverage to 1 hour-long video. However, that has never been what this channel does. We do not make quick videos that gloss over the details of a case. Our goal is to cover cases completely, that way you, the viewer, walk away knowing more about the case than you had before. And we hope we reach it. With all of that said, let us begin. In our last video, we ended it shortly after Chris Watts was made to watch the video evidence that would be used to prove his guilt, despite him trying to make the responding officer and his wife's closest friend think that she left of her own free will, taking the girls with her as some form of punishment to Chris. His next-door neighbor's security camera only caught one person leaving the family home the morning of the disappearance, Chris. The footage was notable, not only because it showed that the father was the only person to leave the house all day, but because Chris pulled his truck into the garage before leaving, an action that was so out of character, the neighbor told Officer Coonrod that it made him believe Chris was directly involved in his family's disappearance.
All right, appreciate your time.
Yeah, no problem. Thanks. Hopefully something comes up here. Yeah.
Mind if you just want to go talk to him? I'm going to get his info real quick. No.
He's never fidgety. He's never rocking back and forth. And if you look, he never loads his stuff in and out of the garage ever.
Right.
When Chris watched the footage, he was doing everything in his power to keep calm. He had stood idle in his own home, mere hours after killing his wife and children while a police officer searched for his family. He calmly tried to negate any suspicion that had been placed on him the entire morning, but when he was confronted with the video evidence of his crime, his stress was palpable. He rocked back and forth, raised his arms over his head, and blinked excessively. His heart was racing, finally feeling the weight of what he had done, and realizing that in murdering his family to be with his mistress, he had likely doomed himself to a life in prison. His mind went into overdrive, trying to look as innocent as possible while also justifying his out-of-character behavior. When Chris watched the footage of himself parking his truck in the garage and, off-camera, loading his wife and kids into the car, he nervously told the officer that he had simply loaded some of his tools into the car. He repeated this justification 3 separate times, looking guiltier each time he did it. Parking his car in the garage was odd, as he had never done this before, but the sheer amount of times he felt the need to defend it without provocation only made the action seem more suspicious. Chris would leave the neighbor's home trying to get some relief, but immediately he was met with more police officers at his home. Chris had just begun to realize the situation he was in, but at this point, he still believes that he'll be able to come out ahead of any accusation. Sure, the camera showed that he was the only person to leave the home, but it was motion activated. It surely could have glitched and missed his wife and the 2 small children leaving, and it didn't actually show him loading them into the car, just pulling the vehicle into the garage. As far as anyone knew, he could be telling the truth. His mind would be racing, but he would realize fairly quickly that the only way out of the situation would be to keep his story straight as much as possible, and never deviate from his original statement, or more accurately, the multiple original statements he gave to Shanann's friends and family, as he had told them all different things. Once more, the body cam footage that we will be discussing comes from the channel True Crime Case Histories, and will be linked below.
Chris? Yeah. Hey, are you okay if we just walk through for a minute and then look at her phone if it's still up there?
Yeah, okay. I guess. What's this door right here go to? It's locked. Do you have a key for it?
Yeah.
Yeah, they wake up, they'll just go right here and just play with that stuff.
Yeah.
Well, that's bright.
So you normally, yeah, no.
So you normally keep it locked?
Yeah, because they would go in there, they'd be in the soap. Like last time we had Vaseline everywhere.
Chris just referred to his daughters in the past tense, saying that they locked the girls' connecting bathroom doors because they would make a mess. This would appear innocuous to the majority of people, but to the outside world, Chris's daughters are missing, yet he is referring to them as if they are already deceased. In the article, Missing Persons and Past Tense Verbs Question, by Peter Hyatt, Peter discusses how a parent of a missing child will refer to that child in the past tense when they know or believe that they have died. If the parent knows that the child has died and is claiming not to, that is obviously a sign of guilt. However, if a parent believes that their child is dead, that could be for a plethora of reasons. Perhaps the child was taken by a person with a weapon. Maybe they saw the child injured before being separated. And maybe the police told them that it was unlikely they were going to get the child back alive. If the parent has been given a reason to think harm has befallen their child, referring to them in the past tense isn't a sign of guilt. But that's not what happened here. Chris has been emotionally vacant the entire morning, even when trying to portray himself as a caring father who wants to know where his kids are. He tried to throw off the investigation multiple times, threatening Shanann's friends when they appeared on his doorstep looking for his wife and kids, and telling her parents a different version of events. He wants people to believe that Shanann has taken the kids and left him, and that he is a deeply concerned father, but he is not engaged whatsoever in finding them. When searching around the home, he milled about, timidly walking in and out of rooms without any form of stress or urgency. He hasn't attempted to organize any searches or find out more about where his family could be, or whenever Officer Coonrod or Nicole has asked him to help, he has found excuses not to. He's been given no reason to believe that the girls have been harmed, besides the fact that they're not there. But he knows they're dead. He's the one who killed them, so he refers to them as such.
Yeah. So that was not fun.
So does she normally make the beds, the kids' beds?
No.
No. Okay. This all looks normal to you. Does it look like this maybe in a rush or?
This is about
Normal.
Like when kids go get up first.
Get up,
Yeah, and they'll just kind of like go around.
Sure.
Just go get her.
Sure. Okay. All right.
'Cause we don't wake up till they wake up.
This is a lie, but it's a weird thing to lie about. Chris has stated earlier that he has a routine to wake up between 4 and 5, go to the home's basement, get a workout in, eat breakfast, then leave for work by 5:30 or 6. He did not, as he just stated, get up when they got up, and adhered to their scheduling. Chris's mind is still racing, and it's likely he's not fully aware of what he's saying. He's just trying to present himself in the best way possible, so he can get out of the situation and take a breather. He's just saying and doing what he thinks will make this interview end sooner, without realizing that everything he's doing is making him look worse. Again, he wants the police to believe that his wife, who he is separating from, took the kids to punish him. That is the cover story he's attempting to go with. And yet, when he's in his children's rooms, talking about what they're like, he's emotionally vacant. There's no sense of anxiety or deep emotion, just a monotone discussing how he was beholden to their schedule. I'll be fast forwarding through this next portion of footage, as Officer Coonrod will be talking on the phone with Shanann's mother, which is hardly audible. Again, a link to the full body cam footage without our commentary is down below.
Yeah, I did. Whatever. Yep. No, no. Did you tell your mother-in-law that she went to a friend's today? Yeah? What friend?
I suppose we went to a friend's house, so that's all I knew.
Who was she supposed to go to?
That's all she told me. She said she was going to a friend's house to take the kids.
When did she tell you that?
This morning when we were talking about 4 and 5 o'clock.
Chris has begun to rock back and forth again, which we know he does whenever he feels like his actions are being questioned. Nicole already confronted Chris about the fact that he told her and Shanann's mother 2 separate versions of events. When Nicole first called him that morning, he claimed that Shanann had taken the girls on a play date, but when he spoke to Shanann's parents, he told them that she was hanging out with a friend, but had just brought the girls along. Chris laughed off Nicole's suspicion at the time, stating that what he said was essentially the same thing, but that's not true. Those are two separate things, and which one actually happened is incredibly important. Moreover, that was one of the first lies Chris peddled in this case. Right after telling Nicole he was on his way home to help with the search 3 hours before he arrived, it seems as though when his lies are brought up by law enforcement, his stress begins to build once more.
This stuff she had last night.
Yep.
What's this? This is.
That's just some Annihilator stuff.
Is that your stuff?
Yeah, that's the stuff I was gonna give to some people because they don't fit me anymore.
Oh, these are your jeans.
Yeah, it was like 38s. They're way too big now.
Okay. Well, give us a call or anybody if you hear anything from her. Otherwise, I'm going to start putting together just in case we need to pull the trigger for a missing person. Yeah, I'm going to try to run some things down using her phone and then see if we can't find somebody. If nobody's heard anything at all, then we'll probably pull the trigger a little bit quicker and go that route. So, I mean, you can do that now. There's no reason. I mean, as far as like walking through fields and stuff like that,
No, I mean like a hospital.
you can do that now. If you guys want to start that, there's no reason you can do that right now.
Okay.
Absolutely. So, but the other things I'm going to do is put them away.
Once again, Nicole has shown that she cares more about the health and safety of the Watts girls than Chris does. She is the one asking questions, asking if she can start putting searches together and contacting hospitals, all the while Chris stands idly by, thinking of ways to exonerate himself. Chris finally had a moment of relief when the police left his home, but everyone who loved Shanann sprung into action. Pictures of Bella, her, and Celeste were posted everywhere, with people spreading the word about their disappearance before the case had even properly begun. The grassroots effort made waves, with everyone in the Colorado area being made aware that the entire family, save the husband and father, had gone missing. Because Shanann had documented so much of her daily life online with videos and live streams for Lavelle, the public was instantly engaged with the case, watching videos of her play with her daughters and talk highly of her husband. From the outside, her life appeared perfect, but then it stopped appearing at all. People began to watch her Facebook page as if it were their favorite television show, hoping to find clues in the background of videos. To this day, you can see remnants of this behavior, with people looking at her final posts and seeing signs of foreshadowing. The police quickly put out a press statement, going over the details of the case and how they had just begun their investigation. Within a day, they had already canvassed the surrounding neighborhood and created various traffic checkpoints in the area to see if anyone had seen the girls. They too quickly spread images of Shanann, Bella, and Celeste, and urged the public to send in whatever help they could. The police urged Shanann's friends and family to continue pushing her name into the public, and so the decision was made that the very next day, August 14th, 2018, Chris would speak to the media for the first time. Though there was some public speculation that Chris had been involved with the girl's disappearance, the majority of people felt horrible for him. They viewed him as a victim in this scenario, having gone to work one morning only to return to find his wife and kids vanished. Many of the details regarding the case had been kept private, as the investigation was ongoing, so people largely viewed him as a sympathetic character. But that would all change. A missing persons case lives and dies by the amount of attention it gets. As we discussed in our videos going over the case of Sherry Papini, in our video going over the case of Stacy Smart, her faux kidnapping occurred the same weekend as Stacy's, and resulted in Stacy's case being pushed to the wayside. The press decided to focus their attention on Sherry, given that she was easily marketable to the public, and to this day, Stacy has not been found. In the case of Vanessa Guillen, her family had to force the police and military into action, as it appeared that they were ignoring Vanessa's disappearance for fear it would make Fort Hood look bad. They were able to campaign and gain media attention, buying billboards and getting celebrity backing, which in turn caused the case to be resolved. It was with this understanding that Chris decided to go on Denver 7 News and make a public plea for his wife and children's safe return. Of course, Chris didn't want them to be returned, given the fact that he had killed them and hidden their bodies. But he knew that by not speaking to the press and not appearing to help his family, he would only look guilty. With that said, let's watch.
Chris Watts, WATTS.
Wow. What's going on right now around your house?
Right now it's got K9 units, the sheriff's department. Everybody's like they're doing their best right now to figure out like if they can get a scent, see where they went. If they went on foot, they went in a car, or they went somewhere. And right now it's just like they've been on point. They're going through the house trying to get a scent, and hopefully they can pick something up to where it's going to lead to something.
A day has passed since the investigation started, but that has done little to soothe Chris's nerves. If anything, the more time has passed since he committed the murder, the more anxious he has gotten. We saw Chris leisurely drive up to the home mere hours after he killed his wife and kids. We saw him casually check various rooms in his home for them, knowing they were gone, and he seemed fine. It was only when he realized there could be evidence against him that he began to worry. When he last saw them, he likely got a bit of relief from the police, leaving his residence. But that break didn't last long. The reality of the situation he had found himself in probably had dawned on him, and he is now more anxious than ever. All of the facts in the case point directly to him, and as more people learn Shanann, Bella, Celeste, and Nico's name, the more likely it is that he's going to spend the rest of his life in prison. He knows that his actions will be picked apart, and if he were to clam up, not participate in the searches, and not make a public comment, he will be seen as guilty. He's walking a tightrope, one that he is going to fall off of. The starting question is an obvious one. What is going on at your house? The interviewer is asking an open-ended question with the belief that Chris will state the obvious. The police are looking for my wife and kids, who went missing yesterday. He is expecting Chris to seem concerned about his family and appreciative towards the police. He's not expecting Chris to nervously rock back and forth, holding himself, while smirking as he goes over the lengths that the police are going to find his family. Furthermore, Chris distances himself from the situation linguistically. He doesn't refer to his family by name. He refers to Shanann, Bella, Cece, and Nico using the same term he uses for the police, a neutral they, when most family members of missing persons talk about that party explicitly. The whole point is getting the family's name out there, and he can't bring himself to do that. Pay attention to Chris's mouth as he talks, because his smirk throughout this interview is notable. If you've ever thrown someone a surprise party and had to lie to the person's face, it's likely that you've smirked just like this. This is known as duping delight. The article, When Liars Smile, The Telltale Tick of Duping Delight by Dale Hartley explains the phenomenon, stating, duping delight is a facial tell that occurs when a person takes pleasure in deceiving others. Specifically, duping delight occurs when someone is lying or manipulating others and feels a sense of power or control over the situation. This pleasure can manifest itself in various ways, including through subtle facial expressions, body language, or vocal cues. Those cues include irregular and inappropriate mouth movement, biting one's lip, eye squinting, and fidgeting back and forth. Before we end this segment, Chris will have done all of these things.
What happened? Your wife came home. Tell me what's...
She came home from the airport 2 a.m. and I left around 5:15. She was still here, and like about 12:10 in that afternoon, her friend Nicole showed up at the door. Like I had texted Shanann a few times that day, called her, say but she never got back to me. But she wasn't getting back to any of her people as well, and that's what really concerned a lot of people. Is like if she's not getting back to her, like if she doesn't get back to me, that's fine. Like she gets busy during the day. But she didn't get back to her people, which was very concerning, and Nicole called me when she was at the door, and that's when I came home.
That is not the truth. As we covered in our previous video, when Nicole showed up on his doorstep, he had already been made aware that Shanann was not responding to texts and calls. Nicole had asked him if he had heard from her early that morning, because she was supposed to give Shanann a ride to the doctors. This is when Chris told her that he and Shanann had separated and that she had taken the girls on a play date. He tried to placate Nicole's worries, telling her that Shanann would get back to her eventually and that she was fine. Nicole refused to accept that answer, and after learning that her friend hadn't made it to her doctor's appointment, she went to the home and tried to use the access code to get in. However, Chris had engaged the deadbolt, leaving her locked outside. Chris was alerted to this via the home security app, and rather than take her concerns seriously, he told her to get off of his property. It was only when Nicole stated that she was going to be calling the police to do a welfare check on Shanann that he stated he was coming home. And even that was a lie, as he didn't return for 3 hours. Even though the public doesn't know he's lying, the police do, and they will be taking note of the ways he's changing his story.
and then walked in the house and nothing was vanished. Nothing was here. I mean, she wasn't here. The kids weren't here. Nobody was here.
Chris doesn't seem to want to say his daughter's names. He has said Shanann's earlier, but only in relation to her friendship with Nicole, which again is notable. He continues to distance himself from the situation, and his voice is hollow, completely unaffected by the events of the past 24 hours. People process hardship differently. Where some people are extremely emotionally affected by trauma, others shut down and go into survival mode. So defining what is and isn't normal behavior in this situation is hard. But Chris shows absolutely no care or even interest in his family's disappearance. The only outward displays of emotion he has had are entirely self-serving.
What's your wife's name?
Shanann, Shanann.
What's your kids' name?
Bella and Celeste.
How do you spell Celeste?
Celeste.
How old are your daughters?
4, Bella's 4, Celeste is 3.
And so, how many times did you try calling her?
I called her 3 times, texted her about 3 times just to say, what's going on. Like cause after I called her and texted her once, it's like maybe she was just busy. Like she just gotten back, like everybody's probably calling her from her trip. She just got back from Arizona, and I figured she was just busy. But when her friend showed up, that's what it was like. It registered like, all right, this isn't right.
Do you think she just took off? Do you think?
I mean, right now I don't even want to just like throw anything out there. Like, I hope that she's somewhere safe right now and with the kids. But I mean, could she just taken off? I don't know. But if somebody has her and they're not safe, like I want them back now. Like that's what's in my head. Like if they're safe right now, they're gonna come back. But if they're not safe right now, that's the not knowing part. Like if they're not safe, last night I had every light in the house on. I was hoping that I would just ran over by the kids running in the door and just like barrel rushing me, but it didn't happen. And it was just a traumatic night trying to be here.
It seems that Chris, at least, had the forethought to not speak ill of his wife while she was missing. In the previous video, we went over how Chris tried to imply that Shanann had taken the girls out of spite. His mother, Cindy Watts, even said as much in an interview.
Tell me what happened when they were reported missing. What did you find out? How did you find out? Who told you?
I think Ronnie called me. Ronnie called me and said that they're missing, and I thought, I don't believe it. I didn't believe they were missing. I believed that she was going to punish Chris. She was just going to punish him, take the girls, and just punish him. I had no idea of anything else. Christopher called and said, Mom, they're searching the house. I said, okay, that's fine. I mean, and I still was not worried. I was not worried. I just thought Shanann had run off with girls.
Chris didn't want his wife to be looked at as a good, attentive mother and wife, but rather a spiteful woman who would use the kids to hurt him. Each time he tried to present this kind of story to the police and to Shanann's friends and family, they rejected it. There was no evidence Shanann would do such a thing. It seems the only person who Chris could convince of this story was his mother, who hated Shanann so much she refused to come to their wedding. But she wouldn't miss a day of her son's murder trial.
I'm going to ask some kind of tough questions about your relationship with your kids.
My kids are my life. I mean, those smiles light up my life. And there's like, I mean, last night, like during when they usually eat dinner, it was just like I missed them. Like, I mean, I missed telling them, hey, you got to eat that, or you're not going to get your dessert, and just like you're not going to get your snack afterward. I miss that. Like I miss them, cuddle up on their couches. They have like a Minnie Mouse couch and a Sophia couch that they cuddle up on and watch, Bubble Guppies or something. And it was just like, it was tearing me apart last night, and I needed that. I needed that last night, and for nobody to be here last night and to go into their rooms and know that I wasn't going to turn the rain machines on. And I know that I wasn't going to turn their monitor on. And know I wasn't going to kiss them to bed tonight. That's why last night was just horrible. I couldn't do it.
This is an obvious lie. We know this from his smirk, as well as his shaking head and the fact that we watched him go into the other rooms on the body cam footage, and he was completely unaffected by their absence. Of course, one could argue that Chris was suddenly overwhelmed with emotion after everyone left, but the fact that he is still not saying Celeste and Bella's names and is smirking while discussing how he missed the daughters he killed is telling.
I want everybody to just come home. Like, wherever they're at, come home. That's what I want.
Chris is a terrible liar. If you were to Google what it looks like when someone lies, every single example could be found in this footage.
Where was she gone for? She was on. She came back Sunday. You said at 2 at night.
Yeah, because her flight got delayed from Arizona because of like other storms around the nation. So she's supposed to get home at like 11. She got home at like 1:48. She got in bed about 2.
What was she going for? Like family trip or what?
It was a Thrive direct sales. It was a local event that was down there between a bunch of leaders in the company.
And that day she was back. I mean,
I left work early that morning, like 5:15, 5:30. So like she barely got into bed pretty much.
And this might be a tough question, but did you guys get into an argument before she left?
It wasn't like an argument. We had an emotional conversation, but I'll leave it at that. But I just want them back. I just want them to come back.
It seems that Chris had realized that saying that he and his wife had decided to separate the same morning that she went missing did not reflect well on him. While he might have thought that would make Shanann look like she had taken the kids and fled, it actually made it seem like he had a motive to make his family disappear. Instead, he says that they had an emotional discussion, which does not sound any better. Additionally, in the article, Men Who Murder Their Families, What the Research Tells Us, by Bernie Actor, men who kill their families seem to commit the murders as a way to control the other party. He knew Shanann well, but he had never seen her be wronged by him. If he were to leave her for a younger woman while she was pregnant with the child he stated he wanted up until a week ago, he had no idea how she would react to that. Chris knew if he left Shanann at all, he would still have to deal with her on a regular basis. Due to their children, he would still be beholden to her wants and needs, and that he would have to wait at least 18 more years until he could see her less frequently. If he were to go on and pursue a relationship with Nicole, the woman he had been cheating on her with, she would have immediately figured out that he had cheated, and he didn't want to deal with the aftermath of that. To Chris, killing Shanann, Bella, and Celeste was just the easiest way to move on from the relationship, and so that's what he did.
And if they're not safe right now, that's what's tearing me apart. Because if they are safe, they're coming back. But if they're not, this has got to stop. Like, somebody has to come forward.
You spoken to her family, like her parents?
Yeah, they've been in constant contact, like every hour. I mean, everybody back in North Carolina and the East Coast. I mean, from Maine to Florida.
What is her parents saying to you? Like,
they're just like if they need to get on a flight, just let them know. Because I mean, they feel helpless right now because they're on the opposite side of the country. I mean, Colorado is. I mean, you can't just drive around and look. I mean, it's just like. You wouldn't really know what you're looking for. That's what the cops pretty much told me. That first day I was like, I want to get out and drive around. They said, you wouldn't know what to look for.
That again is not true. If you recall our first video, Chris did everything in his power to not help the search, even when Nicole and Officer Coonrod thought it would be beneficial. It was only when he heard that there was direct evidence of him being the only person to have left the home, and it dawning on him that he was likely the only suspect, that he asked if he could go drive around the block to try and find her. He had only done so in a desperate bid to get away from the situation, and it hadn't worked. On top of that, let's think for a brief moment about what he said about Shanann's parents. He is claiming that he has been in constant contact with them and they keep asking him if they should hop on a plane to aid in the search. And it would appear, based on how he says that he's telling them that they shouldn't, which obviously he doesn't want them there. He's a terrible liar who killed their daughter and grandchildren. But this means he has told her parents that what is happening is not that serious, even though he knows that they are never coming home. He still thinks he can get out of this, with him making it seem as if she ran away with the girls.
Last couple questions. What is law enforcement? What have the police or the sheriffs or your neighbors? What's police saying to you?
Right now, this is what they're doing right now is with the canines in the sense. I think this is the biggest thing. This is the biggest thing they've done so far because yesterday Frederick Police Department did all the searching of the house and tried to gather whatever information they could. and with the detectives, officers, and sergeants. And today it's, I mean, obviously with all the activity that's around, it's there's a lot going on around here, and I really hope that all this can lead to something positive.
What did your neighbors, did they see anything? Did your neighbors see anything?
No, like the police department went door to door asking, like, cameras and everything, just like nothing.
This is his biggest lie. We know that there's a video of him leaving the morning of, and that his car was the only one to leave the residence. We know he backed the car into the home, which is highly irregular, loaded the body of his pregnant wife into the truck alongside the girls, and left. But he is on camera claiming that that doesn't exist.
And my last question, if you have any of them, so feel free to step in. My last question is, if your wife can see this, if she can watch these, what would you like to tell your wife and your kids?
Shanann, Bella, Celeste, if you're out there, just come back. Like, if somebody has her, just please bring her back. I need to see everybody. I need to see everybody again. This house is not complete without anybody here. Please bring her back.
That's it. I can take that mic off you.
Well, that certainly was passionate. The following interview was done with 9 News, which I sourced from the YouTube channel Riddled. Their video, as well as a link to their channel, can be found below.
The most important thing, like, I'm not sure, I'll just wait for you to ask a question, but like, I want them, wherever they're at, like, I have no inclination of where they're at right now. Like, I've exhausted, like, every friend that I know of, and every friend that I have has called friends that Shanann has that maybe I didn't know about, and it's just like, it's like it's vanished. Like, she's not, like, when I got home yesterday, it was like a ghost town. Like, she wasn't here. Kids weren't here. I have no idea, like, where they went. And it's just earth shattering. I don't feel like this is even real right now. It's like a nightmare that I just can't wake up from.
Once again, Chris is a horrible liar. His wife and kids are missing, and he is completely stoic and unemotional, talking about how he doesn't know where they are. The words he is saying fit the scenario. This is earth-shattering. This is my nightmare. I want them to come back. But it's all said like a teenager being forced to apologize for some petty wrongdoing. Additionally, he is starting this interview as a bit less of a fuddy-duddy. The first interview made him nervous. He was rocking back and forth, licking his lips, blinking rapidly, and trying to stop himself from smiling every time he lied. But this one, he's coming out of the gate, trying to lead the discussion. He started the interview by telling the reporter that he doesn't know where Shanann and the girls are, all while never using Bella and Celeste's names, and immediately trying to gain sympathy from the viewing public. He never mentions how worried he is about them, how he is scared they could be in trouble, how he hopes that they are okay. When he's leading the conversation, it's about how sad he is, all while displaying literally zero signs of sadness. Once more, he has slipped in the line he used on Officer Coonrod, that being that he asked all the people he knows, while implying there might be people Shanann knew that he didn't. Again, this is to imply that she was leading some sort of double life, or could have left on her own with the assistance of an outside force.
Chris, when did you learn that they weren't here?
Like, well, I texted her a few times and called her. I didn't get a response, which that was a little off. And then her friend Nicole showed up about a little afternoon. I could see it on the doorbell camera, and I was like, "Hey, what's going on?" She's like, "I can't get a hold of Shanann." And that's when I was just like, "All right, something's not right. If she's not answering the door," and she said the car was here, it's like, I gotta go home. And we got here, got inside, and nobody was here. Nothing.
Again, this is a blatant lie, one that is easily fact-checked. Nicole, her son, Officer Coonrod, Chris's own coworkers, all of them can debunk this story easily. But Chris wants this to be true, because if it is true, he can get away with murder. He wants to make the public believe that he is just a good guy who is being penalized by a mean woman, even though he can't outright say that. Mind you, when we state that Chris is a bad liar, that's us as a third party watching him lie and be bad at it. He likely believes he's a pretty good liar, or else he likely would not have talked to the press at all.
And so I read that Shanann hadn't taken the girls to school, which was unusual.
Yeah, because like Bella was gonna start kindergarten next Monday, and they were just getting ready to start back again.
Chris once again refers to his kids in past tense, implying once more that he either knows that they're deceased or he believes them to be deceased, which, as their murderer, we know it's the former. But in their reporting around the case, it was found that the morning of the family's disappearance, Bella and Celeste had been unenrolled from school. Initial reports around this case made it seem like Shanann had done this, leading to more speculation that she took the kids and skipped town. But that's not the case. More on this in a bit.
And so what kind of, your friend Nicole kind of tipped you off that something is...
Yeah, because like she was here at the front door, and that's when I kind of knew, okay, like if she's not answering anybody else either, this isn't like her, because I mean she works that direct sales business, and that's what she does. And for her not to respond to any of her people, if she doesn't respond to me, that's fine. I mean, like, she's busy, she's got stuff going on, but not to respond to her people, though, that was not like her.
Chris, you've got a beautiful family, you know, and it looks like you all love each other very much. What went through your mind the minute kind of you're like, something's wrong?
It's like I was trying to get home as fast as I can. I was blowing through stoplights. I was blowing through everything, just trying to get home as fast as I can, because none of this made sense. Like, if she wasn't here, like, where did she go? Like, once I got here, it was like, all right, who can I call? Who do I know that she could be with right now? If she went to a friend's house, where could she be staying? And we went through everybody. I mean, just everything in my contact list and her friend's contact list, and nothing has come up. Everybody has said, like, they haven't heard from her either.
This is a crazy thing to say when you know there's video proof that would show otherwise. First off, it took him 3 hours to arrive back at the home, longer still because Nicole had been trying to get him involved the entire morning. Moreover, he drove up at an incredibly reasonable pace, sorted through his car before getting out, then spent about a minute and some change in the home by himself before casually letting Officer Coonrod and Nicole in. On the body cam footage, he was nonplussed about the entire ordeal, sauntering through the home without a sense of urgency about the situation. There was quite sincerely no point on that footage where Chris showed any sign of worry towards his family, which he could have stated in a way that wouldn't make him look as guilty. He could have easily said that when he first heard about the situation, he thought Shanann had simply taken the girls for a drive to clear her head, or that he wasn't worried because Shanann was such a reliable person. But instead, he fabricates a scenario where he was immediately on the scene, ready and willing to do whatever it took to get Shanann and his girls back. This is likely how Chris believed he acted in front of the police. He might genuinely think he was putting on the performance of a lifetime, but he was sorely mistaken.
I'm just hoping right now that she's somewhere safe, and maybe she's there. But right now it's just like, if she's vanished, like, I want her back so bad. I want those kids back so bad.
You know, I wanted to ask you a little bit about the hard part. Your first thought is, where are they? I want them back. Your second thought is, you know, your friends were telling us, and we kind of heard from you a little on the phone. Your second thought is that you're afraid people think you may have done something.
Yeah, I mean, nothing. Everybody's gonna have their own opinion on anything like this. I just want people to know that I want my family back. Like, I want them safe, and I want them here. Like, this house is not the same. I mean, last night was traumatic. Last night was, I can't really stay in this house again, like, with nobody here. And last night I wanted that knock on the door. I wanted to see these kids run in, just barrel rush me and just give me a hug and knock me on the ground. But that didn't happen.
Who are you gonna stay with tonight?
Probably my friends Nick and Amanda. Unless something develops in the next hours or so, like, I'm hoping that somebody sees something or somebody knows something and comes forward.
What's the hardest part of all of this for you?
Not knowing, like, if they're safe or if they're in trouble.
But he does know. Again, so far in our coverage, we haven't gone over what exactly happened to Shanann, Bella, Cece, and Nico, because we want to cover the case chronologically. But it's been 24 hours since he brutally and horrifically murdered them, and he is this calm. All of the nervousness he has shown in the interviews has been entirely self-serving. He is anxious that he's going to be caught and arrested for murder, not that his children and wife of 8 years are missing.
Like, there's just that variable, like, I'm not sure, I mean, I can't do anything right now from where I'm at. Like, I'm not sure if they're safe somewhere, just huddled up somewhere, or if they're in trouble. And knowing that if they could be in trouble, it's earth-shattering right now, and it doesn't feel like it's real.
Let's think about what he just said for a brief moment. The best case scenario in this situation, looking at all the facts, is that somehow Shanann smuggled the girls out of the home without appearing on the neighbor's security camera, and has run away to spite Chris. She is having some sort of mental breakdown because he has chosen to end their marriage, so she left the ring on the bedside table, her phone in the home, and she got an anonymous person to come pick her up secretly. That is, by all accounts, the best version of events that could possibly be happening. That would still mean that Bella, Celeste, Nico, and Shanann herself would be in danger. The kind of behavioral change that would be required for Shanann to do something like that would be massive, and there's a reason why Nicole was concerned about her friend. She could be wanting to harm herself and the children, and it would be even more important to get her back as safely as possible. There is no version of events in this scenario where the girls are safe, and his lack of emotion and care about that feels completely out of place. It's like he's being interviewed about the situation as an outsider, like the reporter stopped him on the street to get an interview, and he doesn't know anything about the situation.
The weird part of all this, it sounds like everything's kind of locked up. There's no signs of them leaving the house.
No.
period.
No, like we have camera there, neighbor has a camera. Everything's checked out.
Do you have a camera, you said?
The doorbell, only one right there. The neighbor has one over there.
Were all the doors around the house locked?
Front door was locked. The garage door was unlocked, but that's normal for, like, when she comes in the house, she leaves it unlocked just so she can come in and out just in case, to get in the garage door, but the back sliding door was locked as well.
The garage door was not unlocked. Again, he's lying about things that don't matter, as if they cannot be fact-checked. But this lie is purposeful. If he tells the public that the garage door was left unlocked, and that Shanann often kept it unlocked, people could theorize that she had left the home willingly. Maybe she left through the garage door and walked out the back. He wants to lay the groundwork for an alternative version of events, one where the woman he murdered is at fault for what happened instead of himself.
So how would she have left the house if she did leave the house? Or anybody?
I don't want to put anything out there, like just suspecting, like if something like somebody pulled in the back, and because we have a driveway back there from the new townhomes, but it's so hard to tell. Like, there's no cameras in the backyard or anything like that, so it's really hard to even suspect anything right now as far as how she could have left.
This is what Chris has wanted to state the whole time. He's being timid about this alternative theory, saying it's so difficult to figure out how they could have left without being seen, even though he has likely spent the entirety of the night before and this morning thinking about this very concept. If the camera captured all activity at the front of the home, he would have to make it seem like Shanann left out the back. But how would she do that if she had locked the house up from the inside? When Chris left in the morning, he had secured the home up tightly. The deadbolt had been latched on the front door. The sliding glass back door latched from the inside and could not be locked from the outside, and the garage door, which he erroneously claimed was unlocked, was locked as well. The garage door could also be seen from the neighbor's camera, making it impossible for Shanann and the girls to have exited from it. The only way in and out of the home without unlocking any of the doors would be to go in it from the garage, which Chris did when he arrived home. Shanann could not have left the home the way Chris is stating without being caught on either the Ring doorbell camera or the neighbor's security camera.
Or if someone came picked her up, or if somebody took her.
Meanwhile, today's reality, you've got cops there, cops here, cops in your house, K-9 units.
I've never seen something like this in my lifetime unless it was on TV or a movie, and this doesn't seem real at all. It just seems like I'm living in a nightmare and I can't get out of it. I just want them home so bad.
Did you see your kids and your wife whenever, or you had the kids, I forgot. Whenever,
Yeah, I had the kids over the weekend.
Did you see your wife when she got home?
She got home really late, about 2 a.m. from the airport when she got back from Arizona.
Did you wake up and say,
No, I saw her when she got in, but it was really quick just because it was 2 a.m. in the morning. But I saw the kids in the monitor before I left, and that was it.
What kind of efforts are happening right now, Chris, to find them?
Right now in Frederick Police Department, they've been on point. With the officers, detectives, sergeants, K-9 units here, they're getting sense. So hopefully they can pick up something and kind of go in a direction that will actually lead us to where maybe they're at right now.
And
Shanann went to. Where'd you get that shirt?
Oh, this is I think she got it off Amazon, but this is my favorite college sports team.
Wasn't she just there?
She was, just in North Carolina. Yep. So she actually probably got it from there. Usually she gets stuff from Amazon, but this one, I like these shirts a lot.
Chris has more emotion talking about how much he likes the shirt that he's wearing than he does about his own fucking children. I mean, come on, man.
You guys, you love your kids. Describe your little girls to us, and
So Celeste, she's just a ball of energy. Call her Rampage, because she's just always, she's got two speeds, go or she's sleeping. And she's always a troublemaker. She's always the one like jumping off things, just yelling at you and all kinds of things. And Bella, she's the more calm, cautious, mothering type. And she's more like me. She's more calm. But Celeste has definitely got her mom's personality, to where she's always just gung-ho, ready to go.
you guys have a baby on the way.
Mm-hmm.
You're about to have a third child.
Mm-hmm.
Is that kind of going through your mind right now too?
That's why I want everybody back. That's why I need everybody back here. I need everybody safe.
Okay. I think I'm good.
The following is the last of the interviews he would do on the 14th, which will be linked below in full.
What's going through your mind right now?
I don't know where my kids are. I don't know where Shanann is. It's not something I could ever fathom would happen in my lifetime, and I have no inclination of where she is. Yeah. We've reached out to friends, family. Both of our families are back in North Carolina, so they're beside themselves. Like, we all have friends in North Carolina. We have friends here. We have friends everywhere, and not knowing like where she is or where the kids are, I don't know what to do right now. I just feel so alone in this house right now, and I don't know where to go from here right now.
And you said you had to stay here by yourself last night. When I opened the door, it's like you're almost like.
I mean, my heart's racing a mile a minute. I mean, everything that's happening the last few days, it's earth-shattering right now. It's like my world's been turned upside down.
By his own doing, his world has been turned upside down by his own doing. That's a really important connection I felt needed to be made. Continuing on.
Like, I have friends that have offered I didn't feel like I should have left last night, like, just in case, like, maybe she came back, maybe the kids came back, maybe something happened, maybe there's a knock on the door. I wanted to be here. I didn't think last night was a good time to stay with anybody else, I mean, I want friends to be here with me, because that just makes me feel better.
This is something that Chris has thought a lot about, and it comes up with each interview. He tries to farm pity from the public by emphasizing that he had to spend the night on his own in the home, and that he did so because he hoped his wife and kids would come back. But he knew that couldn't happen, so he decided to stay in the home in order to use that as a talking point the following day. He decided that staying at the home would make his story even more believable, and make Shanann, who he was trying to frame as the evil ex-wife who stole his children, look worse. The only issue, besides all the evidence being against him, is the fact that he is a horrendous liar. Simply saying you are sad and that this event has been traumatizing doesn't work if you have the personality and emotional range as Plank from Ed, Edd n Eddy.
And how do you think the police have responded so far?
It's been amazing. They've been in constant contact. Frederick Police Department, detectives, officers, sergeants. They have the dogs coming through to get scents. I mean, they've been on top of everything, missing persons reports. They've been.
Do you have any idea where she could be?
She said she was going to her friend's house with the kids, and that's the last thing I heard, and that was it. It was very vague, and it was very, I don't have no inclination of where she is. Every friend that I've called that has a car seat that could have come and got her,
And you saw her yesterday morning?
Yeah, I saw her yesterday morning. She got back from the airport, and I mean, she has to be somewhere. In my heart, I believe that she is somewhere, and I hope that she is safe.
Search dog go in your house right now to get a scent. A line of police cars.
I'm so happy that they're here right now doing everything that they can. It scares the living crap out of me right now, just knowing that it's come to this and that she didn't come home last night with the kids. Like, Shanann, Bella, and Celeste, if you're out there, please, just come home.
The fact that she didn't come home at night with the kids. He is now directly accusing the woman he killed of taking the children. There's no other way to slice it. He was trying to frame her.
And you, yesterday when her friends were calling frantic, something in you said, well, she'll just be home.
Yeah, I mean, it wasn't like her not to answer a phone call or a text. And when her friend Nicole showed up at the door, I was just like, all right, something's up. And I came home, and it was like I walked into a ghost town. Like everything, she wasn't here. Kids weren't here. It was just they were here and then they were gone.
Yeah. And did you see the kids in the morning too?
Just in the monitor.
Oh yeah.
Mm-hmm.
And you leave really early.
Mm-hmm.
When the interviews aired, the public quickly turned against Chris. They had initially viewed him as a victim in this scenario, a loving and attentive father whose daughter had sung about how he was her hero. Some people had even adopted his line of thinking, finding Shanann's live streaming and strong personality off-putting. When they heard that Chris and Shanann might have been divorcing, that she might have absconded with the kids to hurt him. But now they feared the worst. His behavior was incredibly inappropriate and left the majority of people feeling as if he knew more than he was saying. Why was he laughing and smiling while talking about his missing children? Why did he keep shaking his head when talking about wanting them to come home? And why did he seem to not be taking the investigation seriously? Forums that had talked about Shanann's disappearance exploded with speculation about what the father of three had done to his family. Some users tried to state that he was likely going through shock, but agreed that his behavior was suspicious nonetheless. The police also took issue with the interviews, noting several lies that he had said throughout. Chris had lied about returning home immediately out of worry for his wife, without helping the search in any impactful way, and had given out alternative theories about what had occurred, even though those theories had already been ruled out by police. They had told him that they didn't believe Shanann or the girls left on their own, and he had been instructed not to say as much in interviews, but he couldn't help himself. Chris wanted to make himself look innocent, but by lying, he only made himself look worse. In the early hours of the investigation, they had also found a barrage of evidence that pointed to Chris's potential guilt. They had found that before Shanann was reported missing, Chris had called the school that the girls went to and informed them that his daughters would no longer be attending it. This had erroneously been reported as Shanann's doing, but as she was dead, she couldn't have been behind the change. Chris didn't provide a reason to the school as to why Bella and Celeste would no longer be enrolled there, but it seemed like more than just a coincidence that he would decide to end their education the day they went missing, especially before he knew they'd even gone, according to his story. Then he spoke to the realtor to discuss selling the family home. The realtor, having spoken to Chris and Shanann before, included her in the group chat, but was shocked when she didn't respond. Concerned, she asked Chris, "Is Shanann okay? She hasn't weighed in all day." Chris replied, "She hasn't been around all day. It's very odd." The realtor responded, "That is really weird. You must be worried. Have you checked with her friends or called and reported her missing?" Even their realtor, who Shanann barely knew that her not responding was out of character for the mother of three, to the point of getting the police involved. With a veritable treasure trove of circumstantial evidence against Chris, the police brought him in for what he was told was a fairly standard interview, an interview that we will cover in the next episode of this series.